New Mexico, 1947. Imagine, for a moment, a world without the internet, without smartphones, without instant news. It was honestly a quieter time. The Second World War had just ended and people were looking toward a brighter, more peaceful future. But in the vast, empty deserts of New Mexico, something strange was about to happen. The land here is wide open. The sky is enormous. You feel small against nature's backdrop. Secrets can be easily kept, swallowed by endless sand and scrub. And on a stormy night in early July, the quiet was about to be broken forever. It was on one such night that something fell from the sky near the town of Roswell. The morning after the storm, a ranch foreman named William Mac Brazel saddled his horse. His job was simple: ride out and check on his flock of sheep. The storm had been fierce and he was worried they might have scattered. As he rode across the sprawling Foster Ranch, about 75 miles northwest of Roswell, the bright morning sun glinted off something unusual. It wasn't rock. It wasn't wood. It was something he had never seen before. Spread across a huge area almost a mile long and several hundred feet wide was a field of debris. He had to navigate his horse carefully through the strange wreckage. Mac Brazel was a man of the land. He knew the desert like the back of his hand. He had seen crashed weather balloons before. He had seen all sorts of junk left behind by man and nature. But this was different. It was incredibly lightweight, like foil. But it was unbelievably strong. He tried to fold it. It sprang back into its original shape. He tried to burn it. It wouldn't catch. He tried to cut it. The blade couldn't scratch its surface. There were thin, I-beam-like sticks scattered among the foil. They were incredibly light, yet seemed unbreakable. Some beams had strange markings, purplish pink, almost like hieroglyphics from another world. Mac was baffled. He gathered debris, loaded it into his truck, and decided he needed to show someone. Sheriff Wilcox's call set off a chain reaction. He contacted Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer at the Roswell Army Airfield. He decided he needed to see the crash site. They investigated the mysterious field of wreckage under the cover of night. He later described it as a vast area covered in small fragments of a craft he couldn't identify. They spent the night gathering as much material as they could, marked beams. This was no weather balloon. Marcel was a trained officer. The base commander, Colonel William Blanchard, agreed. He ordered Lieutenant Walter Haut to write a press release. The next day, July 8, 1947, the press release went out. It read, "RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." The news exploded. Wire services picked it up and it flashed across the country and the world. For a brief moment, it seemed the biggest question had been answered. We were not alone. But just as quickly, it was about to be shut down. The truth, whatever it was about to be buried. The curtain of secrecy was about to fall. The flying saucer headline was a bombshell. High-ranking military officials saw the news. Washington, D.C., Fort Worth, Texas. The story was spreading too fast. General Roger Ramey ordered the debris flown to him immediately. He ordered Colonel Blanchard at Roswell to stop talking. He was taken into Ramey's office for a press moment. The strange, indestructible material was gone, laid out for cameras, wreckage of a common weather balloon, rubber, balsa wood sticks, tin foil. Ramey told the press it was a mistake. He said personnel had simply misidentified a weather balloon. The message weather balloon, and no one says otherwise. The Roswell Daily Record ran a retraction headline the next day. Back in Roswell, the military lockdown was absolute. Soldiers were sent to Mac Brazel's ranch to perform a massive cleanup operation. They told Brazel not to talk to anyone. He was reportedly held by the military for nearly a week. Witnesses were silenced, evidence was confiscated, the desert was swept clean. The official story was set in stone. Even though the official story was a weather balloon, the whispers never stopped. Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer, maintained for the rest of his life that the material shown in the press photos was not what he found. He told his family and researchers decades later that the real debris was, in his words, not of this earth. He described metal foil that could not be burned or dented, I-beams with strange, unreadable symbols. Mac Brazel's children remembered things differently. They said he brought home pieces and felt pressured to change his story. Glenn Dennis, a young mortician, said he received strange calls, how to preserve bodies exposed to the elements, and about small, child-sized caskets. He visited the base hospital and saw strange wreckage. A nurse described helping with autopsies of several small, non-human bodies with large heads. These alien body stories are the most controversial part of the legend. There is no official record to support these claims, and many details have been questioned. But his testimony, along with others, added a darker layer to the mystery. Was the military covering up a crashed ship, or the recovery of its extraterrestrial crew. The whispers grew louder over the years, painting a picture of a massive secret. The truth, it seemed, was still out there. For over 30 years, the Roswell incident was mostly forgotten by the public, but in the late 1970s, researchers began interviewing the original witnesses, including Jesse Marcel. As their stories came out, public interest in Roswell exploded. The weather balloon explanation seemed less and less believable. In response, the U.S. Air Force decided to revisit the case. In the 1990s, they released 2 detailed reports that offered a new and much more complex official explanation. The new explanation was not a simple weather balloon, it was something far more secret. Project Mogul, a Cold War project to use high-altitude balloons equipped with sensitive microphones to listen for sound waves from atomic bomb tests. The balloons used were enormous trains, stretching over 600 feet long. They carried radar reflectors made of foil and balsa wood sticks, sometimes held with purple-pink patterned tape that could look like symbols. This explanation seemed to fit many of the facts. It explained unusual material and swift secrecy. Revealing Mogul would have told the Soviets what the US was doing. The Air Force said reported bodies were likely anthropomorphic test dummies, but those drops began years later, leaving many unconvinced. Despite the Air Force's detailed Project Mogul explanation, the public remained skeptical. For many, the news story felt like just another cover-up, a more complicated lie to hide an even bigger truth. The witness testimonies were just too powerful, an image of indestructible metal, strange symbols, and non-human bodies. Roswell transformed from a quiet town into the UFO capital of the world. Museums were built, shops opened, selling alien-themed souvenirs. The annual Roswell UFO Festival draws thousands, serious researchers, curious tourists, and people in elaborate alien costumes. The story entered popular culture and never left. Books, documentaries, TV shows, movies like Independence Day and The X-Files. It tapped into wonder and mistrust. Roswell became shorthand for an alien crash and a government cover-up. The legend offers something for everyone. Ultimate proof for believers, and a study of memory and myth for skeptics. It's a puzzle with missing pieces. The legend of Roswell is now bigger than the event itself. The story endures because it refuses to be simple. So what are we left with? We have 2 main stories. They are worlds apart. On one side, the believers, powerful first-hand testimonies like Jesse Marcel. Strange debris properties, unbendable, unburnable. The symbols were in alien language, they claim. Stories of bodies suggest a biological component. Why the military secrecy and staged events? Believers say balloon and mogul stories are disinformation. An extraterrestrial vehicle crashed, studied in secret ever since. On the other side, skeptics and the official explanation. The events happened long ago. Human memory is unreliable. Many sensational details like the alien bodies only appeared decades later. Project Mogul fits the facts, explains the materials, the secrecy, and the cover story at the height of the Cold War. People want to believe. A crashed saucer is more exciting than a spy balloon. Media amplified the legend, often ignoring contradictions. Skeptics see a military secret inflated by time, imagination, and a public desire for mystery. Not extraterrestrial visitors. No alien cover-up, they say. Just a Cold War secret blown out of proportion. Today, more than 75 years later, the dust has settled in the New Mexico desert, but the questions remain. The Roswell incident has become a permanent part of our culture, a modern legend that refuses to die. The official files have been released, the reports have been written, and the witnesses have told their stories, and yet, we are no closer to a definitive answer that satisfies everyone. The mystery endures because it lives in the space between what we know and what we believe. Perhaps the truth is somewhere in the middle. Could it be that something unusual did crash, something more advanced than a simple balloon but not necessarily extraterrestrial? The world was racing for technological superiority. Secret experimental aircraft and drones were being developed, guarded at any cost. Maybe the alien story was a convenient distraction. Or maybe it really was Project Mogul, and witnesses could not reconcile what they saw. The heart of Roswell is about trust. Do we trust the official story, or the accounts of ordinary people in an extraordinary situation? The story forces us to question authority and wonder what else might be hidden. The evidence is old, the witnesses are gone, and the stories are clouded by time. But that is what makes it a great mystery. It invites us to look at the evidence, to weigh the possibilities, and to decide for ourselves. The truth, as they say, is out there,